there, everybody. I'm Electrik Vision, and I stream on Twitch. I stream Wednesdays to Sundays, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. And yeah, it's great to be here.
Hello, I'm Gozza. I stream on Twitch. Got fully involved in Blood Bowl in my local leagues. Played the local Kent tournament, which is really good fun. So it's really moving forward for me. What I am mostly focusing is networking. I run the Badlands community, where I'm running a Blood Bowl 3 league, and we just run a sort of team event on there, and it's really good fun. It's about bringing back to Blood Bowl 3 the community spirit, which a lot get isolated when there's no chat and you're sitting behind the screen just playing the game on your own. So that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, hi, I'm Runbad. I stream Blood Bowl 3 primarily on Twitch right now. I've been playing Blood Bowl about 3 years. Just started my own local league. I've been running that for about 6 months now, and just looking at attending as many NAF tourneys as I can, growing the community, and growing Blood Bowl as a whole.
Here talking about Blood Bowl 3. We're going to talk about the Season 3 wrap-up. Everybody doing all right today?
Yeah, good.
Good to see you.
Cool. Let's just start off talking about how the season went. We'll start with you, Evie.
The season overall for me went really well. I liked what was going on with it at the moment. The 1800 TV cap was fine for me. I didn't really want to play too close to that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Got a fair few teams. I think I got like 4 teams to master. Yeah, overall it was a really kind of good experience. Outside of a couple of things that was brought up by the community a lot, with the wheel kind of being partially broken. But yeah, outside of that, it was a good experience.
Come on, you're not bringing up your tree score. Come on.
Okay, yes. And I was playing Old World Alliance with a tree man, and I managed to get a tree man touchdown after a 6+ dodge.
Amazing.
That just makes the season by itself.
I'm still super salty though, because I only got 3rd place in Play of the Month.
Right.
All right. What about you guys? How was your season?
Yeah, I shot right up at the very start with my Orcs, and the numbers sometimes are a little bit short when you climb up quite quickly. You're waiting for people, so decided to bench my team when it was like a 1st or 2nd in Masters. There wasn't a lot of players up there. You knew it would grow. This was in the first sort of 20 days. In hindsight, should have just sort of kept plugging away, because I benched them, went through some other teams, and played some Undead, got Undead up to Masters, which I enjoyed. But when I pulled my Orcs back off, I was like, oh, look, I only need 30 points to get back up on the 1st place. That was the worst decision I've ever made in my life. I had 7 losses back to back. I had 7 or 8 deaths. My blitzers all died. Everyone died. It just like the lads were like, I said, come out of retirement. They're like all old and crippled. Like, no. It'll be fine. So yeah, but I had good fun with it, and I also ran a GVS tournament at the end of season 3 to sort of. I had a PC and an Xbox platforms all playing in teams against each other to get results for Team Gozza Skulls. So it was really good because everyone's throwing the banter around on the Discord, and it got everyone involved.
Yeah, I like what you're talking about with the community stuff. That's definitely something that online it can really just feel like you're playing against robots or something if you never actually interact with anybody on it. But Blood Bowl is better with friends.
The spirit of Blood Bowl is to play someone, and to be engaged with that individual whilst you're playing it, and that's why urgently they at least get the chat in so people can say, we all do it through the Xbox, send a message, but I that's my key element to it.
All right, Runbad, what'd you do?
So I ran 3 teams up to around 2100, and the plan was to just see where we're at and then play the last few days of the season. And yeah, so I had Black Orcs in a position where I needed probably one more win to make the playoffs. Of course, you know how that went, and then we kind of slid from there. So, similar to Gozza, I think like I had 3 teams that I kind of went to about 2100 SR, and then I just kind of waited and said, oh, I'll play them later on. Just kind of waited too long. I think I should have hit it a little bit harder earlier. Try to get to maybe 2200 with one, nice and early, and then that puts you in a pretty good spot to, I think, to qualify. I don't know if it'll be the same this season, and certainly moving forward with crossplay on the horizon, I think that qualifying is going to become a lot more challenging because all of a sudden it's one player pool going into 64 instead of, it's all the player pools rather than just PC.
Yeah.
Because like everybody knocks the SR system, but I find that like, your 2000 to 2100 competition wise, your new players aren't in there, right? So everybody says like Dode math was better and because it was you couldn't lose games period, but it's the competition now. You're not going to buff your Dode math with playing somebody who's just picked up the game 2 weeks earlier, right? Like you're not going to buff your SR like you would with Dode math, where you could just spin into somebody who's brand new, even if as long as they have the TV, you could spin into them. Now with the SR, it's you're not playing a new player when you're trying to get that last win to get into the playoffs. You're playing somebody who's fighting just as hard as you are.
Right.
I think that's where the Xbox community desperately want the crossplay, is because for us, where there's such a small pool, when you get up to the 2,000 plus points and you're spinning for a game and you draw someone who's gold or silver because there's hardly anyone there, it's like, well, I've lost this unless I win. And if I win, I'm getting 2 SR from the draw.
Yeah.
You understand the balancing, but the penalty is like, you've just wasted an hour and a half of my life. I'd rather play some really good coach, beat it or fail, whatever.
Yeah,
that's
the system's really not built for low population, I don't think, right? It's just not a good model for it.
Yeah, it's really rough on the Xbox because there's obviously what I've seen on the Xbox is that there are like a good handful or so of like top end players, which I would probably count myself among them, where what we normally do is, well, there's only really 2 kind of end states. You get your team to master and you go, all right, nice. And then you go make a new team and then just go and get that one to master. Because there's a good few coaches on there that get like 2, 3, 4 teams up there. Or you do try to kind of keep playing a little bit. You're constantly playing down, so you have to win every game. Or you end up only kind of spinning into the like 1800. Well, back in season 3 it was 1800. Literally you just spin into 1800 / like 1750, just orcs or dwarves most of the time. There was never any real variance. And yeah, just it just did. You never really wanted to do that because I mean, like 1800 TV is already like much higher than I'd like to play at anyway. And then if I've got to play something like orcs or dwarves, it's just like, okay, so they've got like 9 or 10 guard, mighty blow and stand firm. So if I try to fight them and I don't get a POW, guess who's getting hit back?
So would you say the in terms of, obviously we don't have all the teams in Blood Bowl 3 yet or whatever, do you think each format gets pretty solvable, or do you think it's still kind of open-ended for a little bit of creativity towards the top end?
For Xbox it's a little weird because there's just we just don't have the player base, so the only people that really do do the grinding is the ones the teams that kind of live, right? So you've got your dwarves, your orcs, you've got like some undead pottering around, and then maybe the odd maybe Chaos or Nurgle team. But the problem is that like Chaos and Nurgle aren't the most like dynamic and fun teams to play either. So it seems like no one on Xbox can even remotely be bothered to make a high end like kill team to kind of deal with the orcs or the dwarves. Most of the kill teams I see are in gold and platinum. They've played 80 plus, 100 plus games, but they just play for a bit of fun, and they're not actually like the best players. So it's like, oh, you can just kind of avoid that and beat them anyway. But there's no like top end players actively grinding out stuff to counter the normal bash.
Okay, what elves?
I'm not going to talk about woodies. You play with these, do you? AV, you guys?
Yeah,
I like killing them. That's why I like squishing them.
I like how y'all are telling the story by not telling the story. So does anybody care? Like,
I love Wood Elves.
okay,
I love them so much. They were my favorite team towards the end of Blood Bowl 2 because I used to play Orcs and I used to play Nurgle.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't build Nurgle as a kill stack. I just built them as like a control team because I love that kind of style. So I kind of wish that Nobility were a bit better, but they're kind of bad. I'm so sorry, Dimmy. Yeah, like I really love the Wood Elves because I love the agility style. Just like in Blood Bowl 2, they do not live very long.
Right.
But I've been able to pull off some absolutely crazy stuff with Leap. It's been just massively fun.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that's kind of sucked about them a little bit is that when Cyanide introduced the 1600 TV cap, it's kind of stunted them a little bit because they're already very, very expensive. So you can't really get a bench and have skills. You have to choose one or the other.
In your opinion, what does a fully developed Wood Elf team look like? Like you're talking about, guard, stand firm, block, on maybe some of the bashier setups or things like that. Like, what are we looking at? If someone's in the high end and they rolled into Wood Elves, what do you think they might see?
Most likely, you're going to see at least one War Dancer with probably strip ball and tackle because it's just super useful early on and a little bit less so later on once people get sure hands and stuff, but the tackle and they come with bludge anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see 2 War Dancers, probably 3, probably 4 catchers. If the TV cap was higher, you'd definitely be seeing a tree man as well and rosters of like 12, 11 players. 12, 13 players, sorry. And lots of block and dodge and lots of wrestle and dodge and some like the occasional sidestep and stat ups and all sorts of stuff.
Later, probably.
Yeah. My Wood Elf team at the moment, I've been doing some randoming because the randoms came back.
Yeah.
First War Dancer got sure hands, which I thought was not going to be great, but blitzing with that War Dancer and then having a free pickup after the fact has been fantastic, and it's helped in the Woody versus Woody mirror because they've got strip ball and I don't care.
Yeah.
And I think the other one, randomed wrestle, which has actually just won me more games than most things anyway. It's been great fun.
Yeah, sure hands, people forget about the secondary effects on some of the skills, and I think some of the skills in general could use like a secondary effect, like the strip ball negation or whatever. And I don't know, like I feel like some of the skills that are underused, like all they would have to do is slap on an extra something and it would be nice. But in particular with the sure hands, it's nice you're talking about the blitz play into picking up the ball. It also gives you a little bit of liberty, even if it's at a neg-1, to try to pick it up or something. If you just want to pull some elf shenanigans, like it opens up a lot of options.
Yeah, I'm also running just like 3 rerolls plus a thrower with leader, so I'm doing as much shenanigans as possible with 4 rerolls.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played Underworld Denizens my last event. It was the first time I played a not bash team at a tournament. And I understand why, like, the more dashy players rage whenever they get the double 1. Like, it feels way more impactful. It's like if my orc trips, it's like, oh, okay, whatever. I've got a bunch of others standing. It's fine, But yeah, when you hit that tripwire, it's a sensation for sure.
So
yeah, what else are there? What else are also?
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, guys. Are you gone?
I was just saying, when you're watching them and they're just dice, you're like, come on, double ones, come on. You know it's coming. You know it's going to happen. And then they luck after a while.
Woodies are a pretty popular team, obviously, historically with the old rule set.
Mm-hmm.
And they're, obviously not quite as strong now, I don't think, as they used to be. And especially with the TV cap. I mean, the TV cap's a bit of an issue for a lot of teams. And I don't understand the knocking it down, given the format of this a 3-month season where you cap the TV solo seems like a crazy crazy thing to have. Like if it was a sprint, and everybody was say had a month or 6 weeks, maybe it makes sense. But now it's like, you're not really incentivizing somebody to play the same team on, which I guess is maybe what they're looking for. They don't want people to play 60 games with the team. But yeah, I don't know. Overall, I think Woodies are a great addition to the game, just in bringing new players in, and also trying to get some more life into the agility side of things, and give some options to the players that prefer that style.
Yeah. I kind of wish they had a stunty team, but I'm sure they're getting around to it.
I think it'll happen. The issue with stunty teams is, doing a 1 team per season model. It's a lot of people are never going to look at it or never play it, right? So it's kind of not. I don't want to say it's a waste. It's definitely a necessary part of Blood Bowl, but I think getting the core teams in there is pretty important to draw new players in, and from their build out, and then once you've got your base, which I think they have most of the core teams available. Maybe now is the time to start throwing a stunty in here and there, just so we can eventually get all the teams.
Yeah, and I think you brought up an interesting point in terms of popularity. Like, it doesn't make sense to release less popular teams as much if they're trying to create more of a player base or maintain one, even if it is a difference in play styles. And I think it's easy for people who are kind of armchair game designing to lose sight of that a little bit. Like, you actually have to have people playing your thing.
Absolutely, and I think the crossplay coming in is going to be huge.
Mm-hmm.
The accessibility of a console is kind of unmatched, right? And that coupled with the fact, I don't know if you guys saw, but PlayStation Plus, as of 2 days from now, Blood Bowl 3 is free for anybody with a PlayStation Plus subscription. So encourage your friends, if they've got PlayStations, even if they just add it to the library and don't want to play it right now, it's still a $20-$30 game it's completely free. And it might be an opportunity with that coupled with crossplay. It's a shame crossplay is not in at the same time as that's going on, because that could really help grow the game. But I imagine the PlayStation community will see a bit of a boon in that regard, because a bunch of people that are just downloading every single game on that free list every month are going to hit Blood Bowl, give it a try, maybe or maybe not stick around, but it should be a nice little boost for them for the season anyways.
Good.
Yeah. Also, whenever something goes free on PlayStation Plus and it's multiplayer, it is everyone's civic duty who has experience at the game to go on and smurf and create new accounts and show people what is actually possible within the game.
Yeah, it should be good. It should be a good boost of players, I think. And like I said, coupled with the crossplay, hopefully the community becomes easy to grow, I think.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Like, what's I hear a lot less complaining about bugs and glitches and stuff. Would y'all say that overall it's like the most stable it's been so far?
Definitely. The only one I really notice for bugs right now is the armor break thing, and it's not a game breaking thing, right? It's a personal preference. Some people don't even play with it, but for me, that's the only thing that really sticks out as something really notable.
You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so there's a setting within the camera settings. You can essentially make it go to a cutscene every time you punch, or you can make it go to a cutscene every time you break armor, which is kind of the default everybody's used over the years, because it just lets you know right away it's an armor break, and then the injury is determined from there. But right now, and for the last 2 seasons, I think, it will, even if you have that setting enabled, it'll still do a cutscene anytime you hit, or it's kind of hit or miss. Seems to be some things that trigger it. But so because of that, it's a very minor nuanced issue, but and not game breaking by any stretch. But it has been up till season 2, but season 3 and now 4, they seem to be trying to fix it, but it's not quite right yet.
Yeah, I've turned the animations off. So
yeah, exactly. If you've done that, it wouldn't make a difference at all. But
because of pretty much for that reason, I used to have it with the animations on. It's also I've just got fond of just staring at the pitch. I think when the animation come up, it just caused a bit of a panic attack. It's like,
right,
especially when you're a 10 armor player. You're like, what is this?
Yeah,
when it comes to the bugs, like there's definitely significant improvements. When it comes to playability, yeah, that's fine. The playability is fine. There's just little things that make me smirk. So I can still, if I watch a match, they're like really fine things, don't matter. If I'm watching a match and then I spin in, sometimes I've got like an overlay of the other players' names and everything. So I'm using their dice, and all of a sudden the dice are bad. So I've got an excuse because they're not the dice that I chose. You know, any reason would be. But yeah, it's getting better. Yeah, I don't want to get into the politics of it. There's people out there that can say, "You're right."
Yeah, I mean, bloody hell. Well, it depends where in the sphere you are, really, because I moderate for the BB3 public Discord, so yeah, I see a lot more of the bugs and complaints than most people.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, there's been a couple on stream for me, mainly just what Runbad said with the fake armor break kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the other one that I kind of ran into was I mean, bless side, they tried to fix it. So in season 3, there was a bug that because stunties have their own injury table, if something got, I think it was like the first stage of Miss Next game, like I think it was like a seriously hurt, it would come up as a different type of injury.
Yeah.
Or often if it was badly hurt, it would turn into, it would look like a seriously hurt or something. Now they fixed that. But now what's happening is that same interaction with the stunty table, when it comes up on the wheel of like, oh, do you want to use your Apo? For some reason, projectile vomit image is there.
Yeah. I was like, what's that?
I mean, they're basically the same thing, right?
Has he got an inducement I didn't have?
I've never heard of that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so at least now, like, I mean, if you watch this video and you're playing in season 4 and it's not fixed yet, when it comes up with the projectile vomit, it does mean badly hurt. So if you Apo it, it'll come back.
Clearly game breaking.
Most of the stuff is very minor, and
Mm-hmm.
like I've not heard about people having issues like in season like 1 and 2 or whatever with the black screen. That's completely all gone. And there seems to the server stability just seems to be perfect, at least for me. And yeah, there's a lot less complaints overall about stability and disconnects and stuff like that.
What's everybody's favorite like early release period like glitch story? Like, do any stand out as your favorite like super glitchy moment that you're just like, what just happened here?
Yeah, when the visual bug, when they didn't like, they were missing most of their sort of, they went down to the plain model, so the plain sprite when it loaded up, so where they had the variables for the customizations. So I had like Chaos Warriors with like just burnt heads, just running around, and a Mino with no horns whatsoever, and I was on stream, so it was just a bit of a giggle.
I remember
Doesn't hurt.
at one point I used to get a thing where my players would like, I guess, go below the surface of the pitch, like the model would, and then I was like unable to click them, and then they would pop back up later, but they would have the focus on my turn, and I couldn't deselect them. And there was there's a couple times where the ball did that too, and then both players were just sitting there like unable to interact with the ball whatsoever. It was just like, all right, I guess we're just riding this one out. So we're just like passing turn until the game ends.
I had a pretty funny bug happen when I was playing against a more like inexperienced coach, and you can kind of tell because they had like a billion cheerleaders, and they were lower TV, so they had like the maximum amount of cheerleaders, but something happened, and then they had more, and then there was like permanently a cheerleader just dancing in the middle of the pitch. So that was pretty funny because it was just like it just it didn't exist or anything. They were just there dancing in the middle of the blob of players, and it was kind of funny.
See, that sounds more like a feature than a bug.
You ever had a disappearing ball? I literally had that. I had a guy, I spilt him, the ball was still where he was. I went onto it. It didn't say pick up because it was not in that square. Then the next turn he moved and he had the ball. I was like, oh, he had it. It literally glitched across. I could prove it. It was on the floor, and then when I stepped on it, nothing happened. And then when he took his turn, he had possession.
Oh, really? Wow, that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is worth bringing up to kind of show how the game has come along. I still see a lot of people like most of my interaction is probably in Blood Bowl community group, which I used to think, oh, it's cool. It's the biggest gathering of, like Blood Bowl coaches that, is easily accessible on the internet. I still feel like Reddit's probably a little bit niche compared to Facebook, but I see a lot of like semi-informed opinions, I guess, on various things, and there's a lot of people still parroting a lot of the problems that they had from the first 2 weeks. Which I would say, even within the first 2 weeks, those patches were crucial. They addressed some really important stuff. But
I see like a lot of people post, and then somebody will come in and be like, "Oh, the game's shit," and whatever. But I feel like a lot of people that haven't played it like recently, right? Like people that has played it the opening day come on and they're like, "Oh, the game's garbage." It's like it's been a year worth of patches and fixes, and like if you play it now and you say it's absolutely garbage, I think you've got a bit of a skewed version of things. Like it always has the bad stigma of just being trash when it was released. No doubt, right? It was, but it's come a long way, and I think anybody that says it's still just absolute garbage and hasn't improved in any way really isn't paying attention.
Still Blood Bowl as well, right? At the end of the day.
For sure. Yeah. Like I don't know. It's still the game everybody loves, right? I don't know. It's.
I think it's one of those things too that not everybody's experienced, and that's one reason I think we see some complaints about the dice. They're like, oh, they just pick my opponent to be favored. But like, you would think if someone on a regular basis thinks that the AI somehow just chose their opponent to be the chosen one, and receive all the sixes and they receive all the ones, but it's happening like every game. Like at some point, if that's a system, it should be targeting you as well. So I don't know. I think it's probably a bit of a confirmation bias on that.
I think the dice thing. It's like Blood Bowl 2, the dice were fucked out. Everybody, they're all against me. Fumble, they're fucked. They're all against me. BB3, it's all against me. In real life, my dice suck. See, there's only one common denominator here, and it's that like the dice can't be against you in every facet of your life. And like you said, how would it choose you?
Yeah.
Right? Like it's not like it has a personal vendetta,
It does go to a casino, right?
Yeah, I worked in a casino for a long time. You hear it; it's the same thing, right? But it's hilarious when people can tell you every single the dice are against me, right? It's like it's just a warped vision for sure, but it's funny sometimes.
I've literally got to deal with this every 2 weeks in that Discord. It's just like
just walk away, man. Just walk away.
Well, I can't, but I have started to just be like, right, the RNG is not messed up, and then literally just link them. This is the Python source code if you're really that interested.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to change their mind.
There was someone in there. Oh my word! So they were arguing that Python is not true random, so that like, of course they get loads and loads of ones, but like I was just like, wait, but if you're saying that it's not true random, you only get ones. Wouldn't at some point you only roll sixes? And it's just it blew out of control, and I went, screw it, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, at some point you need to walk away. I think you just for your own sanity. Trying to argue with the internet, it's just oof.
Well, I know some really skilled tabletop coaches that are convinced it's any online platform goes awry too, and there are people that don't dice rage in real life, and it's just like I don't know. I don't understand the conflicting beliefs or whatever, but it's like whatever. I mean, obviously it's not going to be for everyone. I honestly think the lack of the in-person element is the part that makes it seem more cold and kind of rigid. Like if you're having a laugh with somebody when you get a couple turnovers in a row or something, it probably feels a bit less organic, I guess. But inevitably, if you're playing the game, you're going to have some bad runs. But most of the time I see somebody have a bad run, especially like I was teaching somebody to play the other day, and we were just doing orcs versus humans. Like my opening turn, I went and threw some zones on the ball, and then my ogre like both down or double both downed, and it's just like it's gonna happen. I think I had a turnover like the next turn or two, but then I ended up like turning it around and scoring in the same half. It's you just have to play it out. Blood Bowl is definitely one of those play it out games, and I think that's one reason concessions are like kind of so adamantly looked down on in this game, or not within the culture.
Yeah, I think it's quite easy to kind of whine about the dice, especially. Like, I mean, I've had it on stream where like my opponent, like first block of the game, they get 3 dice and it comes up 3 yellow powers, and I literally went on stream. I was like, holy, I don't think I've ever actually seen 3 powers before. And then in the same half, another 3 dice, and it's triple skulls, and I was like,
Yep.
balance. There we go.
I had that exact thing happen on tabletop. My buddy Scream has been popping up more kind of on the channel or whatever. Went with me to West Coast Quake, but we were running some test games, and I was testing Snotlings, and he got his first triple skull, and then I got a triple pow off of just a random wake up blitz, going into the cage, and was able to mark the ball carrier because of it. So I mean, it happens everywhere. It's just it will inevitably happen.
Yeah, I think the main thing that I always see a lot of is people saying like, "Oh, like I rolled the double one way too much" and all this other stuff, while not realizing that a double one is 1 in 36 times, and you're rolling more than 36 dice every like 2-3 turns, especially if you're getting hits off and dodging and other stuff like that. Like every like 3 turns or something, you're rolling a hell of a lot of dice. You just don't see it online as much because you'll roll to hit something, that's 2 dice, and then you won't see like the armor roll or the injury rolls and all that stuff behind the scenes as often. There's a hell of a lot of dice actually getting rolled, and double one is just a very common result. You just got to try and hope to not roll it at the wrong times.
Right.
Yeah, I think like that was the journey of I'm relatively playing for a couple of years now, but the early journey was you would do the rushes and you'd be thinking more about the rules and absorbing all these different rules and all these different skills and what you wanted to do, and then you do these rushes and then you fail and you left yourself weak, you didn't tie up opportunities when it was safe to do so. And it's a slow learning process. It's like let's not roll the rushes, let's do the safe moves, let's shape it up. And then once you start grasping that, and then when people start doing it back to you, that's the only time I'm like, you're pushing your luck, mate. That was the 3rd uphill dice you've done. Like, and you're getting away with it, you ugly little dwarf, you. Oh, I'll get you in a minute with my goal down. You know how it goes. But I love the game for what it is. The learning's a lot.
Yeah, and there's also an argument. It's something that I've kind of taken as like a personal mantra now, especially after doing a lot of like in-person tournaments. Basically, like if you made, a billion 2+ dodges that game, and then the one doesn't work, like you could still have avoided the scenario by not needing to make the dodge in the first place, potentially. And I think that's where the positioning comes in. Or things like, people hitting the tripwire and failing rushes into the end zone and stuff like that. It's like, there's probably some way you could have been one closer. Obviously, some games you're not going to have the option, or a skilled opponent can at least, out of desperation, make you have to roll some dice to do things. But I don't know. I think it's worth, if anyone's playing and they're trying to get better, that's kind of like watching streamers is a really good way to be able to see some stuff, or getting the skill to be able to read the games and then apply it to their own. But I mean, it's, especially if you're playing on PC, you can always just record and then go back and watch if you really want to, watch at double speed and kind of focus on, looking at the dice versus what could you have done differently.
Yeah, I always say that. I always say that, like, if you want to improve, and you're actually like serious about it, you need to like watch YouTube content. You need to kind of watch some streamers, or like you need to at least be like a little bit like open-minded and watch your own games back. like even though like I get lots of good results and I'm often getting teams to master and all this other stuff, like occasionally when I've got some spare time, those games that we all know, those games, the games that haunt you because you knew you did something dumb. I do like to kind of go back onto my my Twitch VODs and stuff and have a look over that entire game and be like, oh right, yeah, there was way more stuff that I did wrong there, and it's good to learn from it.
Yeah, and get hold of the rule book. Like honestly, like
totally
get hold of the rule book. Read the book. Read the rules.
I've still not read them yet.
Have you not? There's some good lore there as well, and understand that the narrative where it comes from is like the Ian Livingstone books, where Games Workshop comes out. It's all authors and art and fantasy. And this one lady said to me, she started the league and she chose goblins, and she went and bought the Games Workshop Goblin team. Now, if anyone knows what that is literally just linos. She's entered the league with some killers, yeah. And she said, "Oh, I was told I shouldn't have got goblins." I said, "No, you get exactly what you want, and you're on a learning journey. Don't let anyone tell you how to play Blood Bowl. You'll just discover it yourself. Have the fun in it. And then when you're at the higher stages, don't be an idiot like me."
Yeah. Is there any like favorite mistake that you've noticed yourself making, like a lesson that you unlearn really quickly?
Ogre dodge.
For me, first of all, I used to not do it, and then when I started playing BB3, I started doing it again, and then I got told off by Dimmy, and I got told off by Kalon as well. And they were basically like, when, like for example, if you're playing elves and you've got to do like multiple dodges in a turn and a pickup and all this other stuff, just like if you need to do passing or handoffs or anything, make sure that you declare it first, but then just do it one step at a time, because if you dodge pops, the state changes and you have to realize then like, all right, if something else fails, do I want to actually use my team rerolls here, or if I fail, like, can I just leave it? Because there was times where I'd be like, right, yeah, we're going to do like 4 dodges and we're going to go pick up the ball, and then like dodge pops on the first dodge, then it fails on the second one, and then emotion takes over. You go, right, slam that reroll, and then the third one fails, and then you're like, well, I'm committed now. There goes the other reroll, and it's just, oh no.
He's really
it's only turn 2.
Yeah,
a bit more.
Yeah, because think about the tabletop, you would roll the dice, so you make that decision. You're like, oh, wait a minute now, I need to stop what I've decided to do. But the computer's like, da 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 da. Yeah.
It's like a slot machine. You just keep pressing the button.
Yeah, exactly. And then before you know it, you've burnt 3 rerolls on turn 2 or 3, and you've still failed. And then you're like, this is gonna be one of those rough halves.
But you just would have stopped. You should have stopped, wouldn't you?
Do y'all ever play the 0 reroll teams?
No.
I love 0 reroll Nurgle.
I've seen it on tabletop. People will just show up to events, and I've seen some of them place really well, but again, it's the people who really know how to position. It's the more and more I play, the more I realize that diceless actions are the thing that can lose you the game really easily.
Yeah, positioning's huge, without a doubt.
And then anyone I teach, they're always like, "Oh, it's like chess." It's kind of the equivalent of saying any hard game is like Dark Souls, but
see, they actually, you say, oh, it's chess with dice, but the correlation, I think, between chess and Blood Bowl is that in chess, you sort of go, look, my knight's saved. If you take this, I'll take this piece, and you cause a chain reaction, and most wise players won't do it, and you play the game out for a while. And in Blood Bowl, the transition is the dice. It's basically like, you can do that, but I'm going to make sure every dice you roll is a 5, a 6. I'm going to force it onto you that you need to roll the dice. And the better players will roll the least amount of dice and get the results in the safest manner. And that's how it's played.
Well, there's definitely an argument too, and I'm sure y'all have seen it, where things are looking dire and you just need to tie it up, or maybe it's turn 15 or something. And sometimes the correct call is just doing the dumbest play possible, on the off chance that you steal it because you don't have any other options. And I know there's sometimes, like my game the other night with Snotlings, my best option was to try to turn it into a draw. So I just started doing 2+ dodges with the ball through a ton of zones just to get to the back. And it was like, I got it my 1 extra square with my second rush where it's like, oh, he can't possibly score. Cool. You know, I did the thing right no matter what else happens from here.
Yeah, job done.
I had it on stream literally yesterday. Don't ask why, but I'm playing Rat Ogre Ball Carrier Underworld.
Nice.
Okay. It's been a journey. It's been really fun.
This is what happens when you score with the tree, man. You know that, right?
Yeah, it gets that bad.
Yeah,
it's your gateway drug.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've got channel point redeem where people can make me play as whatever the hell they want. So that was one of them. And basically, I was looking at it. I'm Underworld. I'm not allowed any linemen on the team. Half the team's in the injury box. I have like 6 players on the field. It's turn 12, and I'm like, okay, so the ball's based, and it's not in the Rat Ogre's hands. The Rat Ogre's based, so we're in trouble now.
Right.
And like everything else is based, and they're closing in on me, and I'm like, right, if I don't make something happen here, like, I'm screwed. I ended up having to fireball only 2 players.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know. One went down, which was the one on the ball carrier, which was fine. Then I had to do my blitz with the Roger, which I rolled a double skull. I managed to pass the loner, knock him over, and run the Rat Ogre across the pitch. And then, thankfully, because my Rat Ogre has monstrous mouth to re-roll a catch, I managed to kind of just run over and just throw the ball at him, and he just managed to catch it. And I was like, okay, it's kind of safe. And it ended up getting me the win in the end because I managed to kind of get him downfield. And then, because he had dodge and monstrous mouth, so in the end, I had to blitz with him without someone next to him. And then I also had to do a 4+ dodge, which I managed to succeed and get the touchdown. And that basically just guaranteed the draw. And I was like, oh, thank God. That'll do.
Yeah, I've been leaning towards, if I have limited skill selection, I've actually been taking catch a little bit over sure hands. Because I found with the throw teammates, a lot of times you're looking kind of deep in the half, or like it'll be after they score or something, and you're just trying to get that, you know, net essentially 0, you know, if they just scored and you can score right away. And you're probably low on rerolls. And if you already have one kind of to get the ball in the first place, it's trying to make that whole throw teammate process run as smoothly as possible, which I'm always doing it with a troll, which is kind of the worst way to go about it. But if you miss that initial handoff, it feels really bad because then you're usually just chilling near the front line. You just drop the ball, and it's, if they can get past your troll, you know, and knock out a stunny or something, then it's just, there's a lot of ways it can go wrong. But it's interesting that what I consider some of the core skills, sort of as I improve and as I try stuff, there's still room for creativity. And it's one of the things I really like about Blood Bowl. You can like really sort of take a team and make it your own.
Yeah, I think everybody builds, like, I mean, look, anybody can build orcs the exact same way as a lot of people, where you just go mighty blow and guard and stand firm everywhere. But then, you know, you've got Andy Devo, who likes to put frenzy everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can get some of the weirder skills. Like, I think I've seen in the ladder someone that was essentially had just like block guard sidestep orcs, and I was just like, oh god, this is going to be a nightmare. And yeah, there's weird stuff out there. It might not be like as efficient or meta or whatever, but you can definitely do some weird stuff and just have some fun with it.
Well, go aahead.
No, I was just saying that one of the best moments of the Kent tournament is that we sat down and it was 4-on-4, and I was on Dimmy Gee's team, and one of the guys, my champion from my store, came with us, and he's a really good player, and he sat down. Davo sat down opposite him for his first game. I was like, oh, this has got interesting. They had a really good match. He did lose to Andy, but Andy sort of said he, played really, really well and invited him along. But everyone's like, he's a ringer, the guy you're playing. I'm like, what? He's a ringer, and he's got loads of elves, and I'm orcs. And the game is 1-0. He scores his half, like stalls it out. Second half, I get right up in the corner, and he does some dodgy elf cage dive, knocks me down. And then my heart sunk because he went pass. After he dropped my ball, and it's a month where he went pass, I went, what? So he's running, picked the ball up, passes over my line, and I'm like, that's a 3-up. If he gets the 3-up, 2-up, he's gone. It's game over, 2-0. Oh, I'll choose him to do the intercept. Drop the 6 out of the cup. I was like, yeah. What do I need to do to catch it? He's like, 5. I was like, 5. So turnover and score. So, yeah, there are moments that are magical in the game, definitely.
Those are the moments that keep you playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just if I'm lucky.
I was gonna say, Blood Bowl. It has some of the highest highs and some of the lowest lows out there. It really does.
Yeah, I think using Bomber Dribble Snot this last event is the first time I've actually felt comfortable saying I know how the deflection and interception works on tabletop. It's one of those things that, like, the once in a blue moon it came up, I'm always just like going to I think I know where it is in the rule book more than I do the actual rules for the majority of my career. But
that depressed the Nuffle. Page 62.
Dude, I hate Prayers to Nuffle. I think it is completely unnecessary. Like, half of them mess with you too. So I don't think people voluntarily go into it. Like, why would you not just have a keg instead? It just feels unnecessary. I know a lot of people complain about adding the passing stat and different things like that for the edition change, but like, yeah, Prayers to Nuffle is definitely mine. And the exhibition chart for it, a lot of people don't even realize there's a separate chart for exhibition games. It's only a D8. It's a little more stable. So that's
things out, doesn't it?
But nobody has it memorized. The weather chart, kickoff table, people are like, oh, that's that, and you kind of don't even have to look at it sometimes. With Nuffle, I haven't seen a single time where somebody just knew what the result was.
Just on tabletop in tournaments, when you get a prayer, just know that you need to roll a 5. That's all you need to know.
Sounds good.
5 is what you need. Trust me.
I forget. I will say
what 5 is now. What you done to me?
Knuckle Busters.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah, the Mighty Blood.
That's all you need.
I don't know.
I was playing Black Orcs against Amazons in a tournament, and on offense, opening kickoff, prayer to Nuffle, stab for a Black Orc on the line, and then stabbed and cast Amazon immediately with it. And I was like, let's go.
Let's go. Well, they A+, aren't they, Ams?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think some of the press to Nuffle are fine, but I don't like the ones that oh yeah, nice, I rolled a press to Nuffle, and then it goes and screws you over, and you're like, oh wait a minute, that's not very nice.
Yeah, the moles on the pitch or whatever.
Yeah,
when you need to one turn.
Mm-hmm.
With Norse.
Yeah.
Game over.
Yeah.
Well, you say that, but I lost best defense on turn 16 of the final round of an event because a Valkyrie did a full range pass to an Ulf Werner that, blitzed the thing he was next to off and then ran it in. And I was just like, I don't know what I was supposed to do there. And the guy had 2 rerolls left or something like that for the half. So it was just extra. I just actually couldn't have done anything about that with the number of players I had left.
Sometimes that's how it is.
Yep.
Like a short kick and a blitz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a gutter runner, specifically a gutter runner. Or a war dancer now, you can put them in the mix.
There you go.
Yeah. War dancers are scary.
Very, very, very scary.
Not as bad as they used to be.
Yeah. No, not
used
at
to be
all.
way stronger.
Well, I mean, not really. I think it went from if you wanted to leap into a cage, it used to be a 3, now it's a 4. So it's still not even that bad.
I think it's the passing. Just because Wood Elves used to consistently full run the pitch. It was really easy to set up comparatively, and I think whenever I hear people complaining about what they've done to passing, essentially, I'm just traumatically looking back to every time I was running like a semi-fresh team in a league, and then elves are just like run up, pass, hand off, and then just clear the whole thing, and it's like,
Yeah, I don't mind the changes to passing personally. I think it's fine. I think the fact that like gutter runners could just pass on a 2+ is crazy, right? Like it's just not necessary.
Yeah.
I
actually
never had
really
experience with it, but it doesn't sound nice.
well, you
yeah. Like I really like the passing changes. Like in BB2, it was like, okay, so you have to go and deal with 9 elves while 2 just like vanity pass in the back line and spam level.
Yeah.
Because every single time in BB2 you got an MVP, it was 5 SPP. So you only needed 1 pass, and then that's just a 2+2+, nice and easy. Right, that player's leveled. Right, next MVP. Right, that one gets a pass next game. That's leveled. And you could really, really like ramp it up. I really like the passing now because I think that everybody kind of has at least. I mean, on a 3+, it's not great, but at least it's an option. The only thing I don't like is the wildly inaccurate. That needs to go in the bin.
Yeah, I'm down for just removing some of the results from the charts, and I think anything that reduces steps too, where I think deflection into interception is a good example. Any of the stuff that's kind of niche that just doesn't come up that often. Like, could that really not just be one die roll and like on a 6 it's an intercept, and then I don't know if you pass the result it's a deflect. Right?
Yeah.
I think perfect. And that's kind of where my hatred of the prayers to Nuffle table comes in. I think anything that you're gonna have to reference because it doesn't come up very often, but it's multiple steps, just seems kind of extraneous. But I guess it's nice with Blood Bowl 3, at least it calculates it for you, even if it's not super clear about what's going on.
That's what you worry about to some degree. I don't know. I don't know if it's because I use it to simulate tabletop more, to get better for my tabletop league. That's why I turn the tackle zones off, and and the dice, they roll a bit after what's happened. So, in my opinion, I feel like the dice need a little bit more centre stage. But then you don't want to distract from the game of Blood Bowl being, animated on the pitch. But sometimes the dice rolling is the main part when it comes to the tabletop.
I think we need like a 10-second cutscene every time you roll the dice.
No. I just feel like they need a bit more. I don't know. I'd have put it up in the top corner or something.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, like a mini, like you see some of the tabletop streamers or league streamers, they'll have like a separate dice cam. Like that could be cool. It's like a little window you could turn on and off.
Yeah, the challenge the champ cam.
yeah, like that sort of element.
Yeah.
Is anybody playing any tabletop? I believe, EV, we finally heard you were gonna be going to an event.
Oh, I am. So, I technically went to Water Bowl. I didn't actually play or anything. I kind of just like turned up to meet people, which was just very, very daunting because I kind of turned up and then I was like, oh, wait a minute. I don't know anybody's face. And I was like, oh man, okay, so I know names, and I was like, right, okay, I've got to just find Andy. I know Andy's here. I've got to find Andy because that's the only person I know who it actually looks like.
Being quiet as well, because they get your voice otherwise. You went in all there like they don't know what you look like, they know what you sound like, right?
Yeah, so like,
but you're this big on the screen. How do they not know what you look like?
Yeah, I popped in, found Andy. Super nice dude. Introduced me to a bunch of people. I had a great time, even though I didn't play. I picked up a new team. Picked up like Necromantic, and now I'm currently getting Necromantic painted up by a good friend of mine, and I'm going to be going to the BACB3 hosted by Andy in the end of July.
Nice. I swear I'll eventually make it across the ocean. Just hasn't happened yet. I'll probably aiming for next year for that to get set up. I'm also just being super lazy and not getting my passport updated.
Just wait and save up and go to the World Cup.
Yeah.
World Cup is epic, right? Like, obviously my first last year, but yeah, it's just like a big party, right? And like that many people that love Blood Bowl, it's an experience. So if you want to go overseas one time or so, I would recommend that.
Yeah,
That's like that to do.
It's like the whole city just full of people that love Blood Bowl, right? Like it's just like crazy. Yeah, pretty awesome. But like we were staying like 20 minutes from the venue, like off in this like obscure. We're sitting there drinking after, right? And then like guys just walk by with a bunch of Blood Bowl jerseys, right? Like it's just like, you know, like people are everywhere. It's awesome.
Yeah,
that's cool.
We'll see
Anybody
where
else?
the next one is.
It's
doing
what it
it.
was last year, right? So it should be
Yeah, it won't
2
be
more years
till-
out.
Yeah,
Every
it won't
3
be
years.
till 2027, I guess, but they should be in the process of announcing or choosing the next destination soon, I think. So
They could choose America eventually, but it's probably never going to happen.
it's just tough to get the volume, right?
Yeah, well,
Until the game becomes a lot more popular in North America, then it might be a little easier, but
I'm going to rant. I mean, well, for one, player numbers are up everywhere as far as I understand. The game has been growing like crazy, and that's awesome. I think there's going to be some changes. There might be some shifts in the culture a little bit. That it seems like some people are having trouble adjusting to, but I'm also talking about kind of the vocal minority on that. But I think staying adaptable is really important. I mean, as an example, the talking about people complaining about, you know, different stuff on like Blood Bowl 3 or whatever. Like it's still Blood Bowl. And if you're trying to get better, I think you need to have in the back of your head, like, this is the same game. It's just, you know, different formats, or maybe something as simple as people using the different kinds of skill bands. Like, when I first started playing, we never used skill bands. You know, my first several leagues, everybody just had the numbered roster, and you just kind of pulled it up, and by turn 3, you kind of had everything memorized. And then when I hopped back in, I saw people using like the little loom bands and stuff. So I started adapting doing that. But I'm seeing more and more people that have like the giant honking things on the base that say like tackle, block, you know, or painting the first, you know, the initial of whatever the skills are. And I think that kind of stuff is useful, but it's kind of like somebody earlier was talking about turning off the tackle zones. I feel like you become a better player when you get to just visualize the board. And if I throw Fumble or Blood Bowl 3 or the actual tabletop in front of you, it's important to be able to read all of those. And whatever you have to do mentally to compartmentalize some of that, it will make you a better player.
100%.
yeah, I played Blood Bowl 3 without the tackle zones because they're broken. They don't change based on the players, what team you click on.
Yeah.
They're stuck in whatever mode you have it. I just don't play with them because it's, you know, it was decent in Blood Bowl 2, but it is good to play without them, I think, too, just because it does give you that, you know, tabletop experience of needing to calculate things, and it's not just automatically displayed in front of you. It helps too.
Yeah, I mean, on the swing, it's really good for people who starting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I just wish when you clicked on your team or their team, it would show the appropriate, like it did in Blood Bowl 2, right?
Yeah.
Now it's like until you change the settings, it doesn't change. You have to physically change which team is showing the relevant tackle zones for, which is
It's a
odd.
bit achy, really, isn't it? It should alternate. You would choose a mode to alternate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've not really had that issue myself. I think normally it's like I see it the tackle zones. I think they just switch based on whose turn it is. I think.
Well, I know you can scroll through a couple
let them off.
settings, but you can't always scroll through the settings. So I believe it's like if you're setting up for kickoff, I think you can't, like, the button doesn't work, and then like if it's on your turn, it does work. It just seems kind of clunky a little bit.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I just got rid of it.
The only reason I use them is I always do like the angle view, and there have been times that there's like a little dude behind a big guy, and then I'll pull an unintentional dodge, and I've, you know, had easy turnovers and stuff, and it's like I wouldn't have done that if I had known that guy was there. So it's either that or just start rotating the camera wildly. And I have like a thing with my brain where I'm really bad at directions. And there was one game in particular with Elven Union where I started running towards the wrong end zone because I like spun it around too much. So That was super exciting. My husband was watching and started making fun of me.
Oof. I am really glad that they've made the camera not like a full kind of swinging kind of camera, and it's just like, oh, you just like, well, on a controller you just kind of like get the camera and you just like, or you just flick the right stick and it just kind of like chunks to one side and you're like, oh, right, yeah, there is a player there. That's why I couldn't move there. And it was like, do you want to foul this thing? Stuff like that.
The answer is yes. You do want to foul the thing. Does anybody want to plug anything, give any shout outs? We can wind down here.
Yeah, I just want to say about the sort of the admin tools they brought out. I've been really focusing there and making my my community, making a competition for the community. Just happens to come through my channel, so that's what it is. Yeah, we had really good fun with it. I gave the teams, I went and done the Kent tournaments. All I did is I took that format, copied and pasted some lazy git, put that on Discord, said, let's try this mode out. Who's up for it? Hands in the air. We ran that. PC had, I think, 10 players in the PC, and then I had 10 players in the Xbox, so it's quite good numbers.
That's cool.
And it was really fun. I think the guys liked where they went through the, the resurrection format. So they knew that here's a set amount of skills for you. And it was different. Some of them said, I've never done this before. Oh, this is really good. So, do I want guard on this guy? What build should I get? And they were all talking to each other about the builds rather than this infinite ladder where it's just grinding and grinding. And now I've just launched the league. So we're going to be running that. I've got 26 teams across the Xbox and the PC platforms. When crossplay comes, we're going to just put it together, and this season, the top brackets will all merge into different divisions. And yeah, if anyone's interested, please join. It's open to everyone. However, it's for the community. So if anyone wants to just try too hard and make it too complicated, we're not there yet. Unless you want to pay me, and then I can do that.
As far as how you structure it, when you're talking about doing a tournament, is it all just happening on one particular day, or is it like spaced out?
No, so we've started the league. So everyone's got 7 to 10 days to play their games. Done a fixtures list. We've got Excel spreadsheets going. People supplying the information exactly as if you're doing a sort of tabletop event. Just started the ball rolling, and we're hoping to finish that before next season because they've said that crossplay should be coming out next season. So I've got 90 days to complete this, and. I lost 4-0 today against Lord Gibby. He is so. I'm getting so much grief.
The days, wasn't it?
Right. Let's hear me out.
They picked your opponent.
I'm undead versus Denzians. I forced him to score turn 2, turn 3. He gets a blitz. It goes short. Gutter runner falls under it. He's got the ball again. Overcommit Magoulies. Get annihilated. It's 3-0 because he gets a 1 in 8 spillage onto a snot that picks up on a 6 and hands off. It's just one of those. I didn't want to be there.
Sounds like dice. Yeah, sounds like dice.
I didn't want to be there.
What's Underworld? It's tier 0.
Bottom of my own league. Let's go. But as I said, it's for the community.
Yeah.
I do want to give a little bit of a shout out to the actual Cyanide roadmap. Like them being able to kind of release it and show what's coming next. I don't think everything's on there because I don't think there was admin tool improvements, but those are obviously coming as well. But there's more key features and stuff. Crossplay's coming in, I think it's season 5, which would be in middle of June.
Do you want me to have a look?
You can do, yeah. I know that's 15, coming. Yeah. I know in season 7, which is near the end of the year, probably December time, they've announced basically that Eternal Leagues are coming back from BB2, versus the AI, and kind of a story kind of mode-ish type thing. And I know there's tons of people that just love playing against the AI and playing the AI competitions and stuff like that. So that's going to be really cool for them as well. And then obviously every 3 months we're going to get a new team on top of that, and just more improvements. And yeah, I'm super when the game first released, I was trying to be positive and was like, I mean, I promise you, everybody, I swear it'll get better. I have faith. But it was a tough road. But now it's a year after release. There's been so many improvements. It's been like night and day. And now there's even more and more coming. And it seems like a lot of the people that were initially like, oh, Cyanide are just going to like make some money and then drop the game, now are starting to kind of come around and be like, oh, no, they're actually supporting this for like a long time now. It's really kind of good to see and good to hear.
Just to give you some dates, BB. So we got season 5 by their picture is June, so they believe June. Season 6 by September, and season 7 by December.
Okay.
So I think that too. I mean, everybody was like the doomsayers when the game first came out. Was like, they're gonna cut it in 90 days. It's never gonna survive. You look now. I mean, number one, they released the new team, the new season, the Blood Pass. I gotta feel a lot of people that are regularly playing it are buying that Blood Pass. And not only that, but I feel like I've played against a lot of people that have a lot of cosmetics. I think that they're making money off of those, right? It's not like Blood Bowl 2 where they were selling cyan so you can get a purple shirt on. Like the cosmetics are there's a lot of chance for them to build new stuff there to get, you figure they're getting $7 or 750 warp stone for like those legendary ones. Some people buy all of them, right? That's one customization for one team, and people are paying like $30 or $40 for the price of the game just for those cosmetics, right? So it's good for the game. It's good, it helps them fund continuing growth for the game. I think it's great, the system they have, and it's all optional, right? You don't have to pay the Blood Pass. You can pay 50 games or whatever it is if you want to get the new team. There's options for people that want that, or there's options for people that want to put, they like playing orcs and they want to put $70 into customizing their orc team to look as cool as it possibly can. That whole range is there, and I think that it adds interest and also gives them some revenue to justify continuing growth and development.
You can always just get a time machine and do what I did and just enter the play of the month when only like 5 or 6 people were entering play of the month, and I was like, I always get top 5. Let's go.
There you go.
That doesn't happen anymore.
Right. It's picked up a little. It's one thing I was like, I'm gonna have to actually try if I want to do that now, and I already try at lots of other things.
I'm not sure if you lot kind of watched the playoff tournament that happened at the beginning of the year. They had like Nacon have like a full-on studio.
Okay.
For the casters and everything they flew out Andy Davo and Jimmy Fantastic to be like co-casters.
That's
they
cool.
hired like another professional caster as well, and they had like a proper like studio desk, and it looked all really cool, and it was like a proper esport kind of thing. So I think like as the game progresses, there's more teams getting added, more players. Like it's just gonna keep growing, and I mean I'm kind of hoping to see if maybe because we're going to have like a once-a-year World Cup for the BB3 now as well.
Okay.
I think it'd be really cool to see like they could do something really cool there where like the winner or something gets their own like legendary cosmetic or something.
Right.
And stuff like that.
Yeah. I honestly think the spectacle they're making there is really good. Anything that promotes the platform to you could sort of can show it to just any old general public, but I think that's the same with paintball. Is when you want people to watch it who aren't involved, it needs to be easy watching, right? It needs to be easy watching. With paintball, it was literally you couldn't tell. If you go and watch football or rugby, you watch the ball move around, and then you talk to people and you get on with that. But I think with Blood Bowls, you can focus on the ball. There's a lot going on, and they made a really good spectacle of it, which made it engaging and not dry, boring. Yeah, no, it was good fun.
Yeah, anything that makes Blood Bowl a little more accessible. I know it can seem daunting, especially if somebody just cracks open a rule book and they're not used to reading rules. They might feel a little lost, but
that's what streamers are for, right? Like, just come and ask us questions.
Yeah.
I was definitely gonna say, like, Twitch is a great resource. Anybody new that's watching this video, it's a great resource. It's how I found the game and how I learned the game largely. So there's a good host now of streamers that are on there most hours of the day. So drop in, chat it up. Everybody in the chat usually is either played a lot of Blood Bowl, as well as the streamers obviously have a lot of experience. So just drop in, ask some questions, and don't be shy about it.
Yeah. Cool. So I know y'all interact with Andy. I have personally shit posted / I don't know what you want to call it, for him to fight me. And I'm going to need him to fight me at some point. So if anybody wants to pass the word, it's already come up in a few videos. It's come up in a couple generic comments. So
you did word it right, because he is 6 foot something.
Yeah. It's fine. I'm 5'9". I'm basically there. Rounding up.
Excellent.
All right.
We'll have to find a book taking bets on that.
Yeah. Well, I threw in my community section, I threw a screen cap of one of I just put a GIF that was just like 1v1 me, bro. But and I said taking bets, and then I clarified we're taking bets on whether I even get a response here. We're not actually taking bets on the game. So but yeah, again, thank y'all for coming out. Everybody, I'll have the links to the streams down here. Streamer community for Blood Bowl, super great. Blood Bowl 3's come a long way since release. It's an easy statement to make for sure. Community is just fantastic in general, and I don't interact with a lot of streaming communities for games, but it seems like from what interaction I do have, that you see a lot of the same people in each other's chats. And it's really cool to see, between the Blood Bowl 3 Discord, or you just pop into somebody's random stream, you'll see a lot of the same names popping up, and people actually support each other. Or you see the raids happen after, somebody's stream ends or whatever. And I think it's really cool to see that. And I also think it's a really friendly environment so that, as mentioned, new players can get some perspective, It makes it a lot more approachable for sure. But yeah, check everybody out. Thank y'all for coming out. And yeah, I guess I will see y'all.
These guys are awesome. Yeah, mate.
But I will see y'all at the end of next season. Try to remember your favorite moments, and we can have a thing. We could actually do like a little gallery thing or something too. I don't know. We can talk about it. But yeah, thank y'all for coming out.
Yeah, no worries. It's always a pleasure to be here, and yeah, can't wait for the next one.
Thank you very much for watching.
Oh, fucking hell.